Good morning. This is section 2.4, Subtract Real Numbers, part 2. So today is nothing new. It's just a practice day. And if we were in the classroom, I would just put these problems up on the board. I would tell you what the answers were and then have you work together with the people around you. So I know you don't have people around you. If you wanted to start a discussion board, you totally can. I think what I'm going to try to do is kind of what I did yesterday of put in the answers first, so then you can pause on that screen and work until you get the correct answer. And then if you need to see the work, you can watch me go through it. Or if you got all the answers correct, then you could just fast forward to the next screen where you see me write all the answers. Okay, so I'm just going to show these top 6 problems. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then that's 6, 7, 8. So what these ones end up being are, so I'm gonna write these big and then erase them. Okay, so -8. This ends up being 10 over 9. This one is a -12.1. And remember, do all these without calculators, okay? A 2, over here was a -2, and then a -8. Okay, so right now hit pause so this stays on your screen while you go and work through them. Okay, and then once you hit play, it'll show me working through them. If you are fine, though, just fast forward to the next screen with all the answers, okay? All right, good luck. I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so for number 1, a -13 minus a -5. That's a giant plus. So -13 plus 5 equals -8. Going down the page, -3.4 plus -8.7. So we have a -3.4. Going to make it even a bigger negative, right? So it's a -3.4 minus 8.7. So since it's that negative and it's going to get even bigger off to the side, I'm going to add it together and see just how big does it get. So 3.4 plus 8.7. I'm getting a 12.1. So that's a big negative 12.1. Working down the page, I have a 7 minus 2 plus a -3. I'm going to do 2 things at once, okay? I'm going to show you first 7 minus 2, working left to right, is 5. And then I'm going to remind you that plus and negative is the same thing as a minus. So a -3 equals 2. Going up to number 6, we have a 7/9 minus a -1/3. I'm going to change it to a giant plus. And we have to do a little bit something extra here, right? Because they don't have common denominators. So off to the side, we could write the multiples if we wanted to. So it'd be like 9, 18, even though we don't need to go that high. And then 3, 6, 9. And you would see that common is a 9, right? Common denominator is 9. So that means nothing changes in the first one because it already has a 9. So 7 over 9 plus. So to get from 1/3, if I have 9 on the bottom, what am I blowing up that bottom by to get to the 9? 3 times what is 9? A 3, right? And since I'm blowing up the bottom by multiplying it by 3, I want to keep that scaling of my fraction the same and also multiply the top by 3. So 1 times that 3 is 3. Now if they have a common denominator of 9, I can just add straight across the top. I get 10 over 9. For number 7, I'm seeing a minus, a negative, so I'm going to do another giant plus. And then I'm just going to start working left to right. So 5 minus 8 gives me a -3. I'm just going to write that plus 3 minus 2. I have a -3 plus 3. That gives me 0 minus 2. And 0 minus 2 is a -2. Sometimes people don't see that negative. That's really important, okay? So that negative does count. It is a -2, so it's a -2 for your final answer. Oh, and number 8 we'll do right now. My minus a negative here to a giant plus. And then I'm going to go ahead and also go left to right. So -4, a -4 minus 4 is a -8. I'm just going to write that plus 4. And again, plus a negative is just minus. Negative 8 plus 4, I have a minus 4. Bring down the rest. And negative 4 minus another 4 gives me negative 8. All right. So let's go ahead and write in the answers for the rest of this page. So here they are. So this is a negative 7. This is 2. And negative 1. And negative 2/3. Okay, so hit pause on the screen and hit play when you're ready to see the work. If you don't need to see the work, fast forward to the next screen, okay? Okay, so for number 4, let's go ahead and change this minus to a big plus. And we have plus and negative is really a minus. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite that. Negative 9 minus 3 minus 5 plus that 6 plus a 4. And work left to right. So we have a negative 12. Bring down the rest. Negative 17. Bring down the rest. And finally, once I'm all done, I end up with that negative 7. I'm going to continue going down the page. So I have common denominators of that 8. And I've told you before, I like to put that negative up top just because it makes more sense to me. So really what I have now is a negative 5 minus 3, because I brought that negative up top, all over 8. Negative 5 minus 3 is a negative 8 over 8. And negative 8 over 8. Anything by itself is 1, but we have that negative, so it's a negative 1. Moving over to number 9. Let's change our minus to a plus. And I'm also seeing a plus and negative, which is really just a minus. So I'll go ahead and rewrite. And then I'm just going to start working left to right. So 13 minus 5 is an 8. Bring down the rest. And I finally end up with 2. All right, number 10. Looks like we have quite a bit more going on with this one. Okay, so I have the minus and minus is a big plus here. A plus, a minus is really just a minus. Okay, so how do we want to start this here? Let's go, if you look at the multiples, like 6 would be 6, 12, and so on. 3 would be 3, 6, 9, so on. 2 would be 2, 4, 6, and so on. So hopefully you can see that the common denominator is 6. Okay, so let's start there. So let's start with a 6, and then we change that to a plus, that's 6, and then we change this to a minus with that 6. And in the first one, it didn't change, right? It's just a negative 5 over 6, so I'm going to just bring that negative up top. Now, it's the next two that are changing. I'm going to try to change colors here. So to get from the 3 to the 6, how did I scale that up? What do I have to multiply by? By a 2, right? So if I blew up the bottom by 2, I need to do that to the top. So 2 times 2, I will get a 4. And in the next one, I have 2. I'm trying to get up to 6. What do I multiply there? 2 times what gives me 6? 3, right? So if we go up top is a 1 times 3, so that would be a 3. Okay, let's make this one nice long fraction here. So now we have that common denominator of 6. And up top, I'm going to write it as one big one, negative 5 plus that 4. And don't forget about this minus. Okay, so a minus 3. So a negative 5 plus 4. So I'd have a negative 1, right? Minus 3. I'm going to go ahead and write this. Negative 1 minus 3 over that 6. Negative 1 minus 3 would be a negative 4 over 6. And can I reduce that? Yeah, I kind of ran out of room, but I'll squeeze it over here. And then You can keep the negative up top, but for some reason when I write my final answer, I like to throw it out front, but it doesn't really matter. Negative 2/3 is the final answer. Okay, turn the page. So this one says, for each problem, choose a variable to represent the unknown quantity. Use a let statement. So every single one of these is going to have a let statement. Then translate each of the English sentences or phrases to a mathematical expression. Finally, evaluate the expression for x equals 10. So every one of these is going to have 3 different parts to it. Okay, so it's going to have a let statement, then it's going to have an expression, and then it's going to have a final answer. Okay, so let's do a couple of these together just so you can see it. Okay, so the sum of a number and 4. So our let statement is, I'm just going to write, let x be a number. So that means in my expression, I'm saying that x is a number. So there's my let statement. That part is done. And it says the sum, so that means add, and then a number, and I said x was a number and 4. So the sum of a number and 4 is x plus 4. That's the second part. The third part says to evaluate your expression for x equals negative 10. So if I plug in a negative 10 where I see an x, a negative 10 plus 4 is a negative 6. Let's jump over here to number 5 across the top. Negative 3 added to my golf score. So I'm going to say let, if you want to say x every time, you can. If you want to pick a different letter, you can. Just to kind of switch it up, I'm going to say let G for golf, let G be golf score. So whatever they're talking about, you just put let, you pick a letter, and then B, whatever they're talking about. Okay, so negative 3 added to my golf score. So a negative 3 added plus to my golf score G. There's my expression. And for my variable, plug in a negative 10. So a negative 3 plus that negative 10. So a negative 3, remember a plus and minus is just minus, which would end up being that negative 13. Okay, let's go ahead and try. Oh, I think I got the whole page on there, didn't I? There you go. Go ahead and try the whole rest of the page. Okay, so have it on the screen. Try the rest of these. So for each one of these, do a let statement, do your expression, and then plug in negative 10 for your variable. Okay, maybe on this one, let me put in like the final answer. Maybe that would be good. Okay, so this one's going to end up being negative 15. This one is 60. Negative 30, negative 5, since it being 1/2, and 3. Okay, so when you're done, come back to double check the let statement, the expression, and then we've got the final answer written here. Okay, so push pause on your screen now, give it a try, come back when you're ready. Okay, so we're starting with our let statement. So 5 less than yesterday's temperature. I'm just going to say T for temperature. Let T be yesterday's temp. And 5 less than yesterday's, so it would be whatever yesterday was, and subtract 5. Technically on this one, could you do negative 5 plus T? Yeah, you could. It would be the exact same thing. So either way will work. And then once you plug in the T, you get a negative 10 minus 5 equals a negative 15. I'm just going to work across and then down. So the product of a number and 6, first I need my let statement. They didn't give us any context, so I'm just going to go with let x be a number. The product means multiply, so the product of the number and negative 6. So you could write this a lot of different ways. The easiest way to write it is just probably a negative 6x. But if you wrote like an x and then a dot negative 6, that's the exact same thing, okay? And then we go ahead and plug in negative 10. So negative 6 times negative 10 we would end up with a positive 60 because we have that negative times a negative is a positive 60. Working our way down, 3 times my checking account balance. I wish that was true, right? That would be cool if you could just say 3 times my checking account. So I'm going to say let B be balance. And then 3 times. So 3 times B. I'm just going to put 3B. 3 times, filling in that negative 10. Oh, well, yes, yeah, that would be good if you had a negative checking account balance, right? I didn't think about that. Negative 30. Number 7, 1/2 of the stock price change. I'll just put P for price. So let P be stock price change. So half of it, so 1/2 times P is my expression. And then if I fill in a negative 10, for this one I'm going to show a little bit extra work. So 1/2 times, I'm going to put that negative 10 over 1, just so that you can see me reduce. So negative 10 over 2 is really a negative 5 over 1. So we get negative 5. And at the bottom, quotient of a number and negative 20. So my let statement, I'm just going to write let x be a number. And quotient means divide, and then you just put it in the order that they give it to you. So number and negative 20 is number, quotient, divide, negative 20. So once we plug it in for a negative 10, we have negative 10 divided by negative 20. And for me, it's easier to think of divided by in fractions. If you don't need that, don't worry about it. So I'm going to write negative 10 over negative 20. If you have a different method that still gets you to 1/2, that's okay. So negative over negative is a positive. I can reduce 10 over 20 to 1/2. And finally, negative 7 minus a number. Let x be a number. Negative 7 minus a number, so minus x, there's my expression. And then fill in a negative 10. So I have a negative 7 minus a negative 10. Change it to a giant plus. Negative 7 plus 10, I get 3. All right, this last page is just for extra practice and fun if you want to do it. Usually in the classroom we run out of time and I just post the solutions or I write it in real quick right here. So you can read through the directions and then work through it on your own. I will, if you don't have a paper copy, just go ahead and hit pause if you want to copy this down. Then if you want to see all the work, let me make sure I get them all the problems, hit pause here. Okay, and what you're doing is you're just filling in, you're doing those problems and then you're filling in the answer. Okay, so up here it says that the decimal points have been placed for you. If you have a negative answer, the negative sign will take up a square on its own. Okay, so again, no calculators, it says. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill in the answers so that then you can hit pause to check your work if you choose to complete this activity. Okay, so give me a minute to write them all in here. All right, I think I found all of them. Okay, so go ahead and hit pause there so that while you work through the activity, you have the answer key there. And that wraps up today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.